Well, good morning. This is Jim Whitehead of All Power Group and Phoenix Animal. And you can see we're certainly wearing the hat of Phoenix Animal with two beautiful horses. And again, the one thing I will say about, since I've been doing animals full time for 3 years now, I learned so much more about animals. I love them and always have, but you can love, I guess, an animal without knowing too much about the animal. But if you learn some neat things about the animal, you're in pretty darn good shape. Anyway, you're looking at Whisper and Thunder. One is the smaller Whisper is a mare, and Thunder is a stallion. So you can see that they're not necessarily in the same category. And what we're going to learn from this, where Whisper and Thunder become the very best friends. And that's kind of another epitome of life, that you don't have to look like someone else to be friends with them. Anyway, Whisper and Thunder, the tale of two horses. On the rolling green pastures of Willow Creek Farm lived two very different horses. Whisper, a graceful white mare, moved like a breeze through the tall grass, quiet, careful, and gentle. She was known for her patience and kindness, but she often stayed to herself. Now, like with any of us, it doesn't make sense, or I don't want to say make sense. It's so much better if you have friends, because friends can help you. Friends can explain things you don't understand. You can explain to them that things that they don't understand. And it just is such a nice camaraderie that we like to develop. And admittedly, of late in this country, we certainly have quite a unbalanced process of the population. Anyway, Whisper was content to graze alone by the pond. Then came Thunder. Let me, there you see Whisper, a very, very pretty horse. God bless him. And then here we have Thunder, a strong chestnut stallion with a fiery spirit and a loud whinny that could be heard clear across the hills. He loved to run, to race the wind, and to show off his power. But while he had many admirers, few truly understood him. At first, Whisper and Thunder seemed as far apart as sun and moon. Thunder's energy made Whisper nervous, and Whisper's calm puzzled Thunder. So here we go. We don't have a match made in heaven, even though they're from heaven or whatever. Would you ever think that horses come from bad places? No. But one spring morning, everything changed. A fierce, as you see in the background, a fierce storm rolled over Willow Creek. The wind howled, trees bent, and lightning split the sky. The herd panicked and bolted toward the forest, but Whisper froze in fear. Thunder, racing past, noticed her trembling by the fence. He stopped and turned back and stood by her side. He nudged her shoulder gently and neighed low, coaxing her forward. When a fallen branch had blocked their path, Thunder used his strength to push it aside. Whisper, in turn, led them through the safest way across the flooded pasture where footing was steady. So here you see a wonderful sharing of benefits that are bringing them closer and closer. You know, Whisper was very afraid when the storm hit and just kind of froze, in so many words. And Thunder, pretty used to things like this, or didn't really bother him. All of a sudden, as running, in a direction, saw that Whisper was literally standing and was very afraid. So Thunder says, "Hey, Whisper, follow me and I will help you get through this." Also, they came upon as you saw, a fallen tree, in so many words, and they were blocked. But Thunder's so strong that he moved it so that they could move forward. And then Whisper says, "Hey, I can lead us through the best part of the water that's in the field so that you don't get stuck or break a leg because, you might sink too low." So here you see a very neat friendship of where one is benefiting the other and the other is benefiting the other. So that it's, I guess you might say, a wonderful formula for friendship. So together they found shelter in the old barn until the storm passed. And you can see how they're working so well together. And thank goodness we all have friends and we help each other. And that is such a wonderful part of life. And you learn from others. And, a lot of folks generally, if you say, "Oh, I'm a little down today because something happened to one of my family members," that potentially new friend would be able to sit there and go, "I had the same thing," or "I had something similar." And you kind of share these things, and you come up to recognize that things happen to, the same things, I should say, happen to many people. And if you find that they've had the same problem and you listen to what happened and their outcome or how they approached it, it also helps you with making good decisions. Now, from that day on, they were inseparable. Whisper taught Thunder the beauty of patience, showing him how to listen to the wind, to the ground, and to others. Thunder taught Whisper I'm sorry, Thunder taught Whisper courage, helping her to see that bravery wasn't about being fearless, but about facing fear together. We all recognize that when we say, hey, I got to talk to you about something, and, as besides with family, the thing that I look at a lot is called Reddit. And there's so many people that have gone down the wrong path. And they tell people they've gone down the wrong path. And yeah, you'd say, wow, that kind of didn't make sense. They did that. But that's, I'd like to say, even though I'm 76 now, I still make mistakes. But of course, when I was in my 20s, I was really making mistakes. Yada, yada, yada. Things you shouldn't do. Party too much. It's just where people would say, and that's why I guess you have parents. Parents try to say, no, you shouldn't do that, da, 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 da. And even though when I was your age, da, 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 you learn from them. And that's the whole point. Anyway, they worked side by side in the fields, pulling wagons and guiding young foals. When one tired, the other slowed down. When one stumbled, the other waited. The farmers often said, those two move as one, heart to heart, hoof to hoof. And so it was with Whisper and Thunder became a more than friends. They became a team, each completing the other, like calm after a storm or sunlight after the rain. So, the neatest thing, and this is why you love animals, they didn't have a basis of disliking each other because one was white and one was chestnut. No, they didn't like each other necessarily because they were both horses. But the opposite of that, they didn't hate each other because of I'm brown and big or chestnut and big colored, and with Whisper being small and white. There was no like, oh, I'm looking down on you. They just could see that they both have skills, had skills that basically could help each other make good decisions and help protect each other. So, again, a lot of my animal stories all go where we as humans can learn so much from animals because they don't generally have biases that influence their logic. They're just very, if I can say, down to earth and do what they both have learned and their innate instincts. And there's no jealousy generally. There's no where one hurts another because of any issues. They generally can work together and be the best of friends. I want to thank you for being here today. Today's Friday, and we hope that you have a good day and that you have a good weekend. I know, again, we look at our political system, and it's definitely what we would say skewed, meaning nothing is making sense at this point in time. And that's why when you do animals, they in most cases don't do or get into the bad side of what human beings do. Jealousy, anger, I want to be better than somebody else, I don't want to help anybody else. And that is not what animals do. And the last thing I'll say in closing, when you look at rescue animals, animals that, well, one, let's say you have an earthquake and they bring in dogs to try to find people, that's one. But when you see a service dog that is helping a human because they've had some problems in their life, fear, PSTD, PS. You know what I'm trying to say? They have a handicap that allows them not to do certain things, and they have a service dog that basically helps them get through a day and then the next day. It's just wonderful. So I want to thank you again for being here. And I'm hoping the best for you. And I hope the best for everything that's going on in our country, that everybody has a good future. That's the point. So thank you so much, and be well, stay well, and thanks again.